Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today is episode 30, and we're going to be talking about rest, recovery, and sleep, and how important that is for achieving your goals. A lot of people only focus on the workout aspect of it, and maybe their diet and nutrition, but rest and recovery and sleep is a key part of achieving your goals if you want to continue making results and get to that ultimate goal that you ultimately want. You have to take this stuff seriously. So we're going to go over why it's important, and then we're going to give you our tips and tricks on some strategies to get better recovery, better sleep, and rest up and recover. That way you can keep training hard and get those results. So we'll start out with just kind of going over the importance of it, and then we're going to go over the tips.
So sleep, recovery, rest, it's all very important for when you're trying to, get into the gym, perform better, and make whatever desired outcomes you want from that, whether that's building muscle, losing fat. You need to make sure that you're recovering. Sleep's a huge part of recovery, and then getting adequate rest, of course, also feeds into recovery. If you don't have those three things, your performance is going to suffer in the gym. Reasons that happens is, if you don't get enough sleep, you can't recover, your muscles are not as well primed, and your central nervous system altogether is a little bit downregulated. It doesn't want to work as hard. So if you're coming to the gym after getting 4 hours of sleep that night, drinking before, and you're trying to deadlift a PR, you're not going to do it. Or if you do, you're just a freak of nature. It's, it doesn't line up super well for that, because since the deadlift or any other high intensity like Metcon or very heavy weights, it really taxes the body and the nervous system. And even if it doesn't break down the muscles a ton, it still really taxes your body, which you need to recover from, be recovered for, in order to perform at your best. That's just why all the top athletes get 10 hours of sleep, and they have all these recovery protocols with ice baths and stuff to maximize their performance. A lot of that is just taking away stress from the body. You need to take away stress either at work or family. You don't want to add stress onto that. So if you're stressed at work and you have family stress, and then you come into the gym and hit a workout really, really hard, you go home and you're just wired because your body's been so stressed out throughout the day. Your body isn't focused on adapting and recovering from your activities. It's just focusing on survival. So it will do whatever it seems fit to keep you alive and functioning. So whether that's removing, decreasing your brain function, you're going to get a foggy brain, you're not going to want to do anything. Your motivation is going to be really low. If you get home, you got dishes to do and vacuuming, and instead of cooking dinner, you're probably going to be oh, let's go out to eat, because that's one less thing for me to do. I don't have to do dishes afterwards, and I don't have to cook it. So your brain's already thinking for how can I make my life easier, because I'm already pretty much spent from the day.
I want to hit just one little point about sleep, and then I'll talk about muscle recovery. But I would say within the last year or so, I've really started to be more in tune with my body and making sure I'm getting enough sleep. And it's crazy. If I only get 6 hours of sleep and I try to come in and work out, my workout is just not as good. Where if I get 8 to maybe 9 hours of sleep, my workout is better. I just feel so much better, and it's crazy how you don't really notice those things until you start to do them and start to pay attention to them. So it's just crazy how important sleep and recovery is. So the thing I was going to talk about with muscle recovery is, a lot of people think that they need to come in the gym and do resistance training 7 days a week because they want to grow their biceps and get bigger muscles. When the truth is, when you are doing any sort of resistance training, you're actually tearing your muscle fibers, and how they grow is in that recovery. When you need rest for your muscles to repair and to grow bigger. So you actually need to either if you do a really heavy upper body day, the next day maybe you need to do more of a lower body day. But also you probably need 1 full day of recovery. Maybe you just go for a walk, or you do some stretching, or Austin can get more into detail about that stuff. But you don't want to put too much stress on your muscles every single day, because then they're not going to have time to repair and grow as big as strong as you want them to.
Yeah, those are both great points. The fact that when you come in and work out and lift heavy, you're tearing your muscles. The recovery literally starts the moment that you put those weights down and you stop for the day, and that's when I urge everybody to try and stretch, because your body's always already really warm. So then you can get a little deeper in your stretches. You're going to gain that flexibility, that range of motion that us trainers always talk about and work on with people. It's super important, and that comes not from just the training aspect, but the recovery aspect of it too. So that cool down moment is not only good for your brain, for like kind of what Bethany was talking about, the stress, to kind of let go of that stress, but also for your muscles too, to stretch out, gain that flexibility, which in turn helps with everything, your muscle pain, joint pain. It's going to help with soreness. So I think that's super, super important. And then what Caitlin was kind of talking about taking a recovery day. We've talked here, I think we've mentioned it on a previous trainer talk, like a rest day shouldn't just consist of you laying on the couch all day watching TV. Like, yeah, there's a time and place for that, but rest day, an active rest day, should consist of some walking, some stretching. You don't have to go and kill yourself and do like an hour of yoga. Like, that's something that personally I like to do because it makes me feel really good. But honestly, what I urge most clients to do is like go for a 15-20 minute walk and then stretch for 5 or 10 minutes. Like, nothing crazy, just to get the blood flowing in the body again and help that recovery. I feel like that also goes a lot along with sleep and rest. Like, once you kind of let go of that stress in your body and your mind, you can sleep better, and then in turn you're going to get better recovery, because the better you sleep, the more REM sleep that you get. Taylor is probably going to talk about that here in a second. It's super important for your muscles and your body in general.
Especially with active recovery, one of the things that I like to do if I'm coming off of a heavy leg day or deadlift day, I like to use the rower, which is a posterior chain movement like deadlift, or a leg pushing movement like the bike. So both of those use the same muscle groups as those compound lifts like squat and deadlift, but you're just kind of getting the blood back in to lubricate all those muscles and joints that you use, and all the muscles and joints that are fried from doing heavy CNS taxing deadlifts and squats. So those are always great recovery methods for that, but you also want to make sure that you're like ready and prime with a good warm-up. Like, you want to typically get a full body warm-up, lubricate like every mobile joint, like the shoulders and hips are the most mobile, like they have the most movement out of all the joints really, so they're the most important ones to keep lubricated and warmed up. And I would say with foam rolling and stuff like that, you can rely on that as part of your recovery, like directly after you finish a workout. But sometimes you find that as part of your warm-up to do that myofascial release last minute before going hard again. So,
just to add on to both of you guys' points, so with the warm-ups before, with the cool-downs after, your recovery starts. I love that you said the recovery starts right after you set down the weights and you're done. So the point of that warm-up is to make sure that you're preventing injury, you're getting blood flow to the muscles, you're going to have a better workout, which will lead to more gains and progress. And then the cool-down is getting those muscles stretched out, so you're getting the blood flow back to the muscle. More blood flow and oxygen is going to help with the recovery process. But another thing after that workout that's crucial is getting some nutrition in to help stimulate that recovery process. So just to add on to that, you want to make sure that you're not just putting in a really hard day's workout, you want to make sure that you're getting high quality nutrition to repair and recover from that. Just to give you guys an example, if there's a day where I'm maybe busy with work and I don't eat enough during the day, I would rather take a rest day and not train, because I know that if I'm not fueled, I'm actually going to start breaking down muscle during my workout as opposed to building muscle. So that's how important nutrition is. If you're not eating enough calories or just very, very big deficit, and you're working out really hard, you're going to be putting a lot of stress on the muscle. You're going to be breaking that muscle down for fuel instead of building muscle and improving your performance. So I just wanted to add that on because on top of the stretching and the workout itself and the recovery stuff after like foam rolling to release all that tightness and the free radical, like the what is it called, the lactic acid buildup. Like when you're doing a ton of squats or a ton of deadlifts, whatever, and your legs start to burn and you get that lactic acid, you want to try to flush that out, which is what he said with the bike and the rower as well. You're kind of just getting that flushed out and get the blood flow back in. And then make sure, like the best thing to do right after workout, Bethany likes to talk about this, but I'm going to say it, so sorry. Get protein and carbs right in combination. So typically it's going to be probably like a 2-to-1 ratio, right?
Yeah.
Or would you go, yeah, probably about 2-to-1, protein and carbs. So if I'm having a 20-gram protein shake, I'm going to want to have about 40 grams of carbs with it. If you're doing something that's very high intensity for about an hour or longer. If you're doing just like a 30-minute circuit or 20-minute circuit or something like that, you're probably not going to need a ton of protein and carbs right after, but try to make sure you're getting a meal in that has some high-quality protein, high-quality carbs, just to help with that recovery. And then for sleep, I started taking my recovery very seriously like probably about a year and a half ago, and sleep has definitely been my top priority. So sleep, when you go into a deep sleep, you're recovering your body. When you go into REM sleep level, you're recovering your mind. And if you're not in those stages, you're actually not recovering. And a lot of us, between all the stimulants that we take all day and all the stress that we have all day just from life and work and things like that, we tend to get very poor sleep. And we stay up on our phones, watching TV, getting that exposed to blue light, which mimics sunlight, so your body thinks you should be awake, so you're not producing melatonin, or falling asleep as fast and getting that deep sleep that you need. So make sure that you are, we'll just go right into the tips right now. So,
Okay.
so make sure that before you go to bed, to get that deep sleep and REM sleep, you turn off the TV half hour before you go to bed, put that phone away. Maybe you could do some stretches or yoga, or maybe just read a book, maybe just chat with your family, like your kids or your spouse. Just kind of wind down 30 minutes before you go to bed. Make sure you're not watching TV in bed either. Try to just leave that for the living room. Another thing that I always do is I have white noise in the background, so I have a fan running, even if it's not blowing on me, I just have it for the noise. I have my bedroom set to be pretty cool, so between like 60 and 68, I think is what it's usually at, depending on what you like. And then make sure it's pitch black. So if it's not pitch black, if you have some light coming in, especially in the summer, it's very hard. Get some room darkening curtains, like pitch black, dark curtains. And you will dramatically improve your sleep. You'll get more deep and REM sleep, and you will recover better, so that way you can not only perform better in the gym and recover better, but you're gonna have less stress and better work days, more mental energy, all that kind of stuff. And to add on to what Caitlin said about like when she only gets 6 hours of sleep, she has a lot less performance than if she gets 8 or 9 hours of sleep for her workouts. If you're somebody that isn't able to sleep 9 hours, if you can only sleep, like if you get up super early like me, like I get up at 10 after 4 every day, even though I go to bed at 8, like I'm still only going to be able to get a maximum of about 8 hours of sleep. And typically every night, we're awake for about an hour when we don't know. So if you're in bed and you shut your eyes and fall asleep at 8 p.m. and you wake up at 4 a.m. like I do, I probably only got about 7 hours of actual sleep. There's about an hour there where I'm actually awake when I don't know it. So using those strategies to at least maximize that window of time that you have to sleep to get more REM deep, you're gonna wake up feeling better. So even though you got 7 hours of sleep, it's gonna feel like you got 9 hours. Compared to if you didn't do any of those strategies and you got that 7 hours of sleep, you're gonna feel like you got 5 hours of sleep, okay? So make sure you use those strategies to help recover the mind, recover the body. That way you can keep training and keep progressing both in the gym and just in work in general. So
So some other nutrition tips, besides the protein and carbs post-workout. A big thing of, like I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, protein post-workout, and they forget about the carbs. Carbs helps with recovery just through, it helps to downregulate cortisol by spiking insulin, and it's actually when our body is more able to use those nutrients. So the blood flow is really going to our muscles, and our blood sugar levels are optimized for, restoring muscle glycogen and then helping to rebuild the muscles with that protein and amino acids you're taking. So it's really important to get that protein and carbs post-workout. And then I recommend getting another solid meal that's balanced with like carbs, fats, veggies, and complex carbohydrates an hour after that shake. That's what I recommend. I've noticed actually a big difference since doing that. There was one day, Thanksgiving, that I did not do that, and my energy was up and down the whole time, and I actually got a headache on the car ride down to our relatives before I ate. So, you kind of learn from that how you feel versus, when you're optimized. So I recommend getting the post-workout shake. Sometimes you can even do intra-workout shakes. If it's like a longer workout, like usually longer than an hour, I recommend 20 grams of carbohydrates in like a shaker. You want to have like per 20 grams of carbs and like 16 ounces of water. That just helps with your blood sugar levels when you have more water with it.
It'll fuel your muscles, that way you're not breaking down muscle too.
Yeah.
So you have a fuel source.
Yeah, it definitely helps with the fuel source. And some people also have the argument that, well, I don't want to have carbs because I want to keep burning fat longer, but that's not how it works. The fat's actually burned more like throughout the day afterwards. You don't always use fat during your workout, depending on hormone levels and stuff like that. You can use carbs more during your workout, especially when it's high intensity, like, fit camp, where you're doing barbells and you're lifting weights and you're doing some high intensity interval type stuff. That's when carbs are going to be used. So you want to fuel your body during the workout, before your workout, and then after. That's like the prime times for your recovery. I've also noticed that if I don't fuel properly, I don't get as good of a session, and I'm more sore the next day, and I'm more tired. So if I go hard one day, then I can't recover from it, then my training day the next day suffers. So you want to stay consistent by, adding some nutrition before, during, and after your workouts, and then trying to stay away from like processed food. Since that actually is like a stressor on the body. So more stress means less recovery. So you want to kind of fuel your body better before, after, during, and then stay away from the processed food.
Just to add on that real quick before Kim goes, speaking of the workouts and the sleep, getting a morning workout will regulate your circadian rhythm, and it'll actually set yourself up for a better night's sleep. So we've noticed that a lot of our clients that work out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they sleep way better that night compared to the days that they don't come in for a workout. So just a tip on that. So even on the days that, if you're only working out 3 days and maybe you want to try 5, just do something in the morning, just like something light, just get your body moving, even if it's an active recovery, and it will help regulate that circadian rhythm, and you'll set yourself up for a better night's sleep. You'll actually recover better from getting a little bit more activity. So just a quick tip on that.
Yeah, so when it comes to recovery, a tip that I have is picking one day out of the week where you don't work out. You can make it an active recovery day by going for a walk or doing some yoga or foam rolling or, just stretching or whatever it is you want to do. But take a day to just not really do anything. Like my day is usually Sundays. I don't usually work out on Sundays unless I miss a workout during the week for something, then maybe I'll get a workout in on Sunday. But typically I take Sunday off just because it is important. And even if you take 2 days off, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're going really hard 5 days out of the week, that is plenty, and you can take 2 days. And maybe you're busy working, so if you work 12 hours, sometimes it's not best to come in and get a workout in if you're already under a lot of stress. It might be best to go home and do some active recovery and read a book and just relax. So you kind of have to know your body and how much you can and can't handle, but at least pick one day out of the week to just recover. Another thing is, like, if you're really sore, like say your legs are really sore from a really intense workout, so you're like, okay, well my legs are super sore and they're sore for 2 days, so maybe I shouldn't work out for 2 days. That's not necessarily true. You might need to do something like the bike or the rower to get your blood flowing to your legs to push out that lactic acid, and they'll actually recover quicker. So, you know, you kind of have to find that happy medium between recovering and letting your body rest when it needs it, but also maybe you need to get a little workout in to get that blood flowing to help you recover faster. So you just kind of, again, have to kind of play around with it, figure out how your body works best, and then go from there.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think everybody should take that time to rest and recover. It's kind of necessary for our bodies. Our bodies can only do so much and can only recover so much. So to take that time at least once or twice a week to let it happen, it really does help. I know there's people out there though that I think you guys could probably agree with this. Like you kind of feel like crap if you don't do something. So that's an opportunity to go and do something maybe a little bit new. Like maybe it's a sport that you haven't played in a while or something that you haven't done in a while, and go and do that instead of what you typically do for a workout. It's a good chance to kind of get out of your comfort zone also. And then I wanted to kind of touch on like the nutrition side of recovery, and like instead of focusing on not working out that day, maybe you focus on your nutrition super intensely. You try to hit your macros perfectly and your calories be in a good range of calories, and like just to focus on that one or 2 days a week. It can be a good deterrent from thinking about not working out, and like it's a win if you get in your macro goals and your calorie goals. I think that's something that like I've started to do recently when I'm tracking, is trying to really like get in those ranges and trying to be as consistent as possible. So that's something like you can play around with and have fun with besides working out and moving. I would echo everything that they said. I think it's important to get protein and carbs after a workout. I think it's important to fuel with carbs and protein before workout. Carbs are your main fuel source, so those are kind of been villainized too in this industry. So I think it's really important to eat good complex carbohydrates and burn those during your workout, and then try to get a good recovery meal too. Like a shake is great. It's a good quick, I always like to call it a treat because it kind of is. It usually tastes really good and it's a good treat, but trying to make a good meal after a workout, it's giving your body thanks. That's what I like to think of it as. So focus on nutrition if you're not going to focus on the workout portion of things.
Another thing that I like to do with protein intake in the sense of recovery is I think one of the optimal times to intake protein is possibly right before bed. If you have a purely protein shake or purely protein composed supplement of some sort, I think those get absorbed really well in the first couple stages of sleep. So like you have this this primary phase of sleep where you do the most recovering, and I think it's early in the first couple hours, right? And some protein gets absorbed really well there, some takes longer to absorb. So you can actually like set yourself up to, you can optimize your protein absorption if you line it up with your sleep, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But,
Especially if you don't eat enough during the day. Like a lot of times if I'm short on calories or something like that, like I mean, some studies show that like you eat a ton of food before bed, it's going to disrupt your sleep, which is also true. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm fueling my muscle. So yeah, like slow digesting protein has been shown to be pretty good before bed. Usually I'll just have some kind of protein snack, I guess. But yeah, that's another way that you could improve your recovery. I typically like to do like a sleep enhancement like product. So like zinc and magnesium is really good with a little bit of melatonin. Making sure that you're getting some nutrients in that help with relaxation and put you in a deeper sleep. So I recommend something like that as well. But yeah, good point. Anything else you guys want to add? That's good. Okay. Just key takeaways on this is to listen to your body. If you need a rest day, don't be afraid to take a rest day. Something that people don't quite understand is all of your progress happens outside of the gym. So even though you're busting your butt 5, 6, 7 days a week in the gym, your recovery, all that progress that you're making is outside of the gym. So you need to make sure that you're recovering, you're sleeping well, you're taking that rest if needed, and you're fueling your body with good nutrition. So those are going to be the key things to help you get the best results. And then the other small things that are going to also help is going to be the warm up before you start training to prevent injuries, the cool down stretching to help also recover the muscle and prevent injury. So make sure that you're doing a little bit of foam rolling and stretching before and after. And then there's some accessory things like we have the compression boots to help flush out lactic acid and help with blood flow. There's like ice baths that they mentioned. You can take cold showers, whatever you want to do. But those things are going to help you recover and help you continue making progress in the gym. So try out some of these strategies. And one more thing, I guess, like what Caitlin said, like if you're really, really sore with legs, like you don't have to just take multiple days off. You could do a different muscle group, so you come in and do upper body. Real quick, I'll just give you kind of an example plan of how I would recommend it if somebody was coming into the gym. So if you're, say, gonna do 2 or 3 workouts a week in the gym, you can do full body workouts, but I would recommend having like a day off in between. So a lot of our clients that do 3 days a week, they're gonna do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If they're doing 2 a week, they usually do Tuesday, Thursday, so there's a day of recovery in between those days. If they're doing multiple days during the week, typically you want to try to work different muscle groups. So a typical weight training, bodybuilding regimen could be like chest and arms or chest and back on Monday, and then the next day you're doing a different muscle group like legs, and then maybe the next one you're doing shoulders. So you're constantly changing up what muscles you're doing to allow for adequate recovery. So just quick tips on that. But just kind of make sure that you actually are putting in the time to focus on the warm-ups and the cool-downs and your sleep. Something that took me a long time to actually adopt. I'm sure these guys would probably say the same thing. Most time we just get in here, we crush a workout, and then that's pretty much all we think about. So after years of doing this stuff, we've developed more knowledge and more experience, and this is what works really well. So try these tactics out. Let us know how they work. If you want to continue listening to all of our other episodes, make sure you like and subscribe. If you want more information from us, maybe on coaching or recovery or anything with nutrition or workouts, feel free to reach out to any of us. Until then, stay healthy and have an awesome day, guys. Later.